we live in the post-PC world now. So what that means is our lives are really going to be around these smartphones, the things I discovered when I was at Apple. And what that means is instead of having virtual friends online and sending emails and photos, what happens when we have a social network wherever we are, at a birthday party, at a dinner, at a ball game, what happens when we get to know all the people around us, our friends, people that we've never met before. It's a new way of doing social networking.
That was Bill Nguyen last night on Bloomberg West describing the purpose of his company, Color. It is a new mobile social networking app, received $41 million in funding. Now, in less than 24 hours, this is what's remarkable, too. It became the #2 social networking app on iTunes just after Facebook. Bob Rice is right beside me here in the newsroom, managing partner at Tangent Capital. He says apps such as Color are the tip of the iceberg in the post-PC world. Bob is here to talk about this. So $41 million, though, Bob, seems like a lot of money for an app.
It's an awful lot of money for an app, and people have been really expecting something amazing because there have been rumors about this for quite some time. Frankly, the early reviews have been fairly brutal by users, so it's kind of a fun one to watch.
You wrote me a note and you said it's like Mars Needs Moms, that horrible, I shouldn't say horrible movie. I haven't seen it, but let's just say not getting good press.
Right, not getting good press, and with superstars behind it and superstar money. After all, this was funded by Sequoia, and these are historically kind of the smartest guys. They're not beginners. They were the ones who figured out that YouTube was going to make a fortune when no one could understand it and no one got the business model. So you have to step back a little bit and say, wait a minute, there must be more here than meets the eye.
So speaking of more than meets the eye, I mean, you put that Color maybe is showing sort of the new world order. What is going to be the new definition of social networking?
Right.
What do you mean by that?
Well, it's a really important idea here. I think the biggest single idea is that your social network is going to be defined by what you're doing from time to time, who's in your neighborhood, and what activities are you sharing with other people. And now that we have these super brilliant smartphones that have geolocation in them and have sensors and have telecommunications capacities, you can define that in real time, who your network is. And that's kind of the idea here.
So it might, no longer be your best buddy from kindergarten back in the day, but it's going to be the person who keeps showing up at the same bars and the same restaurants and the same sporting events is going to be now sort of the person who's flagged more often on your phone, right?
Exactly right. And because of that, you said something very important there. Because of that, you're going to the app is actually built to slowly lose people with whom you're not sharing events and activities all of the time. So there's kind of this auto pruning function, I call it.
Moms everywhere are crying, right? The auto pruning.
Yeah, exactly.
So basically, unless you keep showing up in the same spots, you're going to, as you say, you're just going to be pruned out of someone's network.
You're going to be pruned out of someone's network. And a lot of people actually think this is a benefit because you're carrying around baggage of people who befriended you you couldn't really say no to them when they asked you 3 years ago.
It seemed rude.
It seemed
like
rude.
Facebook bad manners.
And now you can't get rid of them because that would seem rude. And so this kind of takes care of that problem, and it's an interesting point.
What else do we need to know about Color? I mean, you and I have talked a lot about this sort of fragmentation of Facebook, and it seems like, is this just one more nail in the coffin that we'll be talking about, I don't know, a year or two in for Facebook?
I think it's a very important indicator of where things are going. This is the movement's called SOLO-MO, social, local, mobile. And this is really the big thing that's going to be driven, as we were just talking about, by the fact that these smartphones are so smart, and they're doing all sorts of things that could never be done. They're going to change the way we interact with computers and with each other, very much the way that the internet changed the desktop PC.
Now, Bob, at the beginning you said for a lot of people it's kind of hard to understand how the business model works. So we're going to bring in another clip from Bill Nguyen speaking on Bloomberg West last evening and talking about the ad model.
Our plan long-term around this is that just as you take pictures with other people, your friends, your coworkers, your neighbors, that you're going to go to places like your local restaurants. And instead of basically advertising to people when you're not at a restaurant to try to drive traffic, we're going to give you a better experience. So when you walk into the restaurant will know who you are. They'll know how many times that you've been there, and they'll be able to provide you a better experience. And for that service, they'll pay us advertising dollars.
So that's how it works from the man himself. I mean, you get ad dollars from the businesses that people seem to be promoting anyway, right?
Yeah, I think they're frankly, I think there's more to it than that. I think they're actually not talking explicitly about what their long-term business model is here.
What do you think it is?
Well, I think they're kind of shooting for something that's the photo version of the Huffington Post. That is, get your users to create this huge database of information, in this case geotagged photos that you can use for market research. search, and then you get to sell it. Because when you upload photos here, Color owns them. You're giving away the rights to your photos the moment that you take them.
Yeah, people might not really be aware of that.
Right, and I think that that database that they're going to control, from their point of view, hopefully a massive, massive database of geotagged photos, is going to be valuable. And you kind of know that something else is up simply from the fact that these brilliant people put in $41 million here, which means, of course, the company's valued at a much higher number than that.
Just so you can find your friends at the local
I don't think so.
And I mean, actually, even for journalists, there's big implications. I mean, if you're taking pictures and you're at a news event, I mean, we were just showing a crowd shot from Damascus. I mean, if you're putting that out to people in your group and then Color owns that, it could become a sort of gray news source, much as Twitter has become.
That's exactly correct. And by the way, I think that there will be a class of users here who will love this, and that's singles. Because you can imagine that if you're at a museum or you're in an event and you start taking pictures of where you are and people say, oh, that person is near me, it's going to be a really easy way to go and meet new friends.
Which is always nice, especially New York in springtime.
Absolutely.
Bob Rice, thank you very much. Bob Rice joining us there, General Managing Partner at Tangent Capital Partners